as the midterm elections grow closer, November 8th of this year. And Democrats, well, they're concerned perhaps there could be a red wave. Democrat strategist James Carville says Dems need to stop whining and promote what he calls the country's accomplishments.
I think a lot of the Democratic base has not been told or informed of the things that President Biden and this Congress has accomplished. But to me, those are the things that if I'm a Democrat, I much more care about that than some word in a dictionary that children are going to bed with a full stomach and a warm house. I care that somebody, an hourly worker, is not sitting there working away at $7.25 an hour, and I see these signs all over, even in Louisiana and South Mississippi, $700 signing bonus. Those are real accomplishments, and there's something that you can run on. And again, you don't talk about what you didn't get. That's what these Democrats whine too much, Chuck. Just quit being a whiny party and get out there and fight and tell people what you did and tell people the exact truth.
Wow. Maybe the hat, the striped shirt, all of it. Kaylee, you earlier said you agree with James Carville.
Look, I agree with him that Democrats are whiny. And typically, generally speaking, James Carville provides more wisdom than the rest of his party because he sometimes calls out the far left flank. But I would say I do disagree with him in this soundbite in this sense, and it's this specific point. He says Democrats need to be gloating and promoting what they've done. But the fact is they have a very thin list of achievements, and it's infrastructure and COVID relief, and that is it. So it reminded me of a moment when I was on a CNN set. This was during the 2016 election, and a fellow panelist said, look, wages went up in the Obama administration. If only we could get this information out to the American people. You shouldn't have to get that information out.
Yeah.
People know how they feel. They know how their personal economy is. They know what their paycheck looks like. They know what access to jobs they have. And poll after poll shows people do not think the economy is good under Biden. So go gloat and promote all you want, but you can't change the pictures of the empty shelves I'm seeing all over Instagram, all over Twitter, and the way people feel their personal economy is doing in their everyday lives at their kitchen table.
Look, notwithstanding the fact that your Bucks may meet my Chiefs, okay, put that aside.
Yes.
What I love most about where you're coming from there is that you're taking an honest look at what he has done. Infrastructure, that was something that Trump wanted to do. COVID relief, he did get money flowing in certain sectors. Of course, we didn't get enough testing. We could argue all day long about what didn't get taken care of. But even you can come up with two things. What is it about Democrats, Vivek, and particularly the one at the top in the White House, that they can't sell what they got cooking?
Look, I think that he had sound advice for his own party. I disagree with James Carville on a lot of things. But at the end of the day, I also think it's a prompt for Republicans to look in the mirror. And I think Republicans should stop being a whiny party, too. I think that actually, if the Democrats follow his advice, they're actually going to be a much stronger party for it. And one of the things I worry about in the political and culture wars in this country is not that actually one side defeats the other, but actually both sides get infected by the same syndrome, masquerading as though they disagree with each other, but actually joining the church of whining under a different name. And look, we used to be a nation of underdogs. At times, the Democratic Party has been the party of the underdog. At times, I think it's true right now, the Republican Party is a party of the underdog. But we need to be careful not to morph into a system where we have two parties, both parties of victims, or else we'll have a nation of victims rather than a nation of underdogs left in the end. And I think that's an important cultural point that centrist Democrats like James Carville, and I hope sensible voices in the Republican Party, too, can align on as to how we're going to have these debates, not as victims and playing the victimhood Olympics with each other, but ultimately actually comparing our respective accomplishments. Where I disagree is I don't think their accomplishments hold water, but that's a separate point.
A mascot gift on the show. Like, I would just hand you like a little fake golden mic. What you just said.
I probably would take that.
I mean, because what you're
you.
talking about is so true. I mean, that's the kind of talk that could get us to unity. But why do I even bring that up? Because he's not interested in the White House anymore in unity. Morgan?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the reason that so many people voted for Biden, especially in the Rust Belt and around the country, is they remembered the Biden of like 20 years ago, right? They remembered what they viewed as a moderate Democrat, a hardworking guy. They believed in the unity message. And instead, Ron Klein and everyone else that is actually running the White House have turned Biden into a far left progressive. And so whether it's whining, talking about accomplishments, whatever it is, until Biden Biden decides that he is going to repudiate the far progressive left of his party and be the moderate that people around this country elected, until he does that, the poll numbers are going to sink and you're going to see people disillusioned.
I don't know if they could sink anymore, and we could still count them. Emily?
True.
Yeah, exactly. Another point that I disagreed with from James is his point about the Republican Party, right? When he said it stands for nothing other than let's relitigate the 2020 election or let's get back at Jamie Raskin. He said that's it. That's the entire platform. It is clear he's not listening to the Americans either. I think there's two concentrations of the whining. It's Washington, D.C., right there on the Hill, and then it's certain aspects of social media. But the flip side of that is who people are listening to. And remember what Youngkin won on. He won on saying, I am listening to the parents here. So I think the Democratic Party, if they would simply listen rather than whine, if they would simply listen rather than complain and try to put terms over full bellies, as James said, then they would go a lot further. But Kayleigh, you would know better than I. To Vivek's point about the Republican Party looking in the mirror as well, I think we're doing an excellent job of being exactly assertive of what we do stand for, and that's going to hit us well in the midterm elections, Kayleigh.
Agreed.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.